Welcome back, everyone. LanceScurvX here. LanceScurv.com, the Scurv podcast. Check them all out. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here once again to speak with you, share some thoughts, and of course, every day that I live in solitude and tranquility and peace, the thoughts, they just flow so easily. You know, yesterday, early, I spoke on nature and our connectedness to nature and how nature can give us tremendous warning signs. So I spoke about the bird that came to my window, a fairly large bird that usually move out of the way when they see people, and how this bird came right to the window, had his beak on the screen and flapping his wings uncontrollably and making his little bird noise, which was very aggressive. And he stood there for quite a while doing this, and I tried to figure out what this was all about. So I was on my way out, and I decided to sit there for a second and contemplate what this meant. And I decided not to go because I took it as a warning, because it wasn't a gentle, loving type thing. Not that the bird was evil, but it was very aggressive. When usually, like I said, when they see you, they fly off. And this was on the third floor of my home. So it was pretty high, and they usually come there. So anyway, I found out that a van had crashed and 2 people eventually died. Not on the spot, but eventually they died in the hospital, and the others were injured. I thought to myself, wow, that probably would have been the van that I made it on, I got on. So I was thankful for that. Now, lo and behold, it's funny. In my back, I have a carport, and there's snails that on the back part of the property, there's a lot of them crawling around. I have no problem with them. Many people here in Ghana who are native to Ghana, they eat them. And there are other countries and cultures that consume them, even in America. I happen not to like that, okay? Times in the past, I couldn't believe it when I saw a lot of the guys that come to work at the house. They'll go back there at night with their flashlight and get buckets of snails, and they roast them. More power to you. So since that's a natural thing that's done here, I have no problem with it. But me, not that I just won't eat them, I don't harm them. And so when I go back there at night and I see some, kind of moving around on the pavement real slow, which is real cool, because they have their full bodies that go and fit into that shell. But when they're moving around, they come out of it and the shell is like a hat, So anyway, I step over them. I don't step on them. It's not like it's like a whole lot of them. But when I see them, I kind of stand there and marvel at nature and marvel at them. How we can have such diverse sets of creatures on our earth, and they all have a wavelength. They all have an energy about them. And I do believe ultimately, as we are part of creation, that we have the ability to communicate with them, not just by talking, but by feeling, like directly in our mind in a certain way. But it's not the regular, I'm talking to you and you're going to understand, because if a snail talk back to me, trust me, feet don't fail me now, I'm out of there, right? So I have to say this. There have been several snails that have kind of parked themselves back there in my carport and stayed there, not only for a few moments, a few hours, but a few days. And I said to myself, are these snails dead? And after a while, whether it's a few days or a week or so, I noticed that they would move. So I don't understand the nature of snails, and I have to actually research that. But another snail came to the one that was there close to the wall, I would say about 3 or 4 inches close to the wall, next to my door, my back door. So another one came and took its time and got face to face with, if you can say face to face, but they were facing each other, touching. And that one snail stayed there for like a day. And then he moved on. And here's the strange part. And I won't even say strange. It was just amazing because I read into nature. So the other snail moved over to the other side of the door. Okay. So it's about maybe a foot away from the molding of the door on the right side if I'm facing the door. And the original snail was about a foot away from the door on the left molding of the door, about 3 inches from the wall. Now, this is something different to me. Like, what is this? Now, I'll admit, when I see snails and I'm walking out there, sometimes at night, the light's low, and I see them and I greet them. I say, hey, my snaily friends, how are you doing tonight? I'm very careful not to step on you. And I apologize to them because I had stepped on one in the dark and didn't know it. And I felt so bad because they're such gentle creatures. Yes, I admit that. Maybe you can call it weird. I think it's normal. Just like Mr. Scurv talks to the plants and the trees, I do the same thing too, and I hug trees also. So the more and more I'm away from city life, not just in New York City or even in Florida where I lived, even away from the city life here in Accra, which I'm in a different region of Ghana from Accra. And it's peaceful up here, it's quiet, it's ultra private. So I walk around all different types of ways, if you know what I mean, because I can't be seen. So I'm airing out, I'm vibing with nature, sunlight is hitting me, right? And I feel a different way than when I was back in New York, or even Orlando, but New York more so, that you have to wear this uniform and that uniform and you're rushing to go to work and you don't have time for nature. You don't have time to connect. You'll see a creature or an animal in nature and you just, okay, I saw it, so what? But now that I'm out here, I feel like I'm part of nature because I am. And maybe that's a part of my being, a part of my brain that's opening up, whatever it may be, but I feel a strong connection to it. So now, 2 of these snails on either side of the door, they're there. They parked themselves there and I left them there. And it's been a few days since they both were there. The original one was there from last week and this one got in position after appearing out of nowhere, going face to face like they were communicating. And this other one took the same exact position from the house on both sides of the door, the same exact measurement. To me, that was not chance. What does it mean? Well, Mr. Scurv said they're looking over you because they know you're not going to do anything to them, right? Interesting. I don't take it as anything evil. So I know nature will protect you when you have a good spirit, when you have a kind heart. You see, I do know that when you're in touch with nature, they will, and when I say they, whatever it may be, it could be the vibrations from a tree, it could be a bird, it could be an insect, right? There was a huge wasp that flew into the home. And initially now, I don't want to go to sleep and get stung, but it was flying around the different floors and everything. And I was trying to open the door to let it out. And I couldn't find it. Well, I was in the kitchen and I was going to retire, go to sleep. And this wasp flew in front of me. So I was defensive at first. I'm like, this thing is not going to sting me. I'm going to have to knock it down. But it hovered. It was almost like, please let me out. So before I tried to take its life, I pulled back the screen door by my balcony and it just flew out. I was like, wow, look at that. So try to read the signs of nature. Just let it come to you. If you have that type of spirit, if you have that type of mentality, and if you have that type of vibration. Because I believe in nature, when you're in tune with nature, no harm will come to you. Now, I'm not going to say test it out by going in front of a pack of wild lions that are hungry. But I do believe that the more you are in touch with nature, the more you are centered in yourself and have no harm toward anyone, no venom toward anyone, that nature will sense that and reciprocate kindness to you, protection to you. And a lot of us are so disconnected from nature that we cannot see it. We're unable to see it. See, nature is there. And for those who want to say God or creator, whichever way you say it, it's the same thing. When you're connected to God, when you're connected to the creator, no harm can come to you. And that goes and overrides things in life anywhere you are. There's something different about you. You're enhanced. And really and truly, like I said before, it's nothing supernatural. It's natural. But most of us have been reduced so much that we've gotten used to operating on a reduced level. Our sense of discernment, our gut feeling, or rather our gift of discernment, and whatever you want to call it, third eye, people will refer to it different ways. And we have to understand too, that while religion is man-made, spirituality is universal. It doesn't matter where you are on the earth. It doesn't matter what culture you came up in, what you claim, because that was handed to you. So some people will fight you over a religion, and we have wars and fights over religion, not understanding that if that's your first baby steps to spirituality, so be it. But after a while, like a useless husk, it will fall off and you will all find yourself elevated to that same point. I do feel that. So again, I'm not knocking anybody's religion, but when you stay in that for so long that you can't see the bigger picture, right? Then it will trap you. It's almost like a baby being born and being strangled by the umbilical cord as it comes out into life. Now, I hope there's nobody listening that had to go through that, and I hope I didn't bring up a bad memory. But natural things can choke us off if we can't accept, and that's not the baby's fault. Maybe that was a poor example. But if we don't see it for what it is and heed the warning signs and heed the signs of what talks to us, then there's something wrong. I don't know if you've ever seen these videos. I've seen them on TikTok and maybe a few other places. But for example, there was a video that I saw that showcased dogs who saved the lives of their caretakers. I hate to say masters, right? Because we all coexist in this world. But they saved the life of their caretakers moments before disaster happened. There was a situation where a lightning strike happened. And it happened out of nowhere. It was a sunny day, and that can happen sometime. The dog pushed its caretaker, who was sitting on the table on their porch. And the caretaker went inside, because the dog jumped through the little hole in the door. He pushed into him and ran inside. So the caretaker went inside also, like to say, what's going on? 3 seconds later, boom! The table, everything got hit and split up. If the caretaker was sitting there, something bad was going to happen to her. Another one was where a person was sitting in their garage, well, not in the garage, but outside near the sidewalk. They had a table there. They were sitting there. Didn't look unnatural. It was a nice residential neighborhood. I believe it was like an enclosed, gated community. And there was a car flying down the block. And the dog knocked the woman over just seconds before the car hit the table and crushed the chair where they were sitting. I can go on and on with different, because this was a long video, but this wasn't AI, it was real. It was a compilation. But that the caretakers had such a connection to their dogs that the dog knew to do something. Now, I haven't seen this with all dogs, but if you have a connection and you're connected, I'm willing to bet that you'll have a strong connection to nature. Now, on the other hand, we have to use common sense. I have a great sized backyard, right? There's no way in the darkest of night that I'm going back there where maybe a snake or two came into the yard, scaled the wall and came into the yard. I'm not going to risk that. I don't move in fear, but I move in a way where I have to, if it's necessary, I'll move without fear, but I'm not going to put myself in a situation until I feel I'm on that level. So again, I'm not going to start walking around a bunch of alligators. I'm singing in the rain. Something's not going to happen, but I'm not going to walk in fear at the same time. Because I believe all creations in nature work together. And I just want to get that part off of my chest. Now, the second thing I wanted to speak about, and we'll take this as long as we can. Energy. I'm big on energy. Big on energy. I'm vibrating higher than I ever have in my lifetime. Certain situations and certain people who have gotten past my defensive years ago, if they approached me or came around me now in the present, there's no way I would have anything to do with them because my sense of discernment is so much stronger and my radar is so much stronger, right? So this is something we have to develop, not by looking around at the world around us and looking around at the people around us, but going into ourself and meditating and getting rid of the things that are in us that came from the world around us that are not pure in your dealings when you go outside, in your dealings when you get around people. And not only that, it's not just the people thing. As they say, where your thoughts and your mind go, your energy goes. Certain people, as they pop in your head, if they're not good for you, you have to train yourself to not think of them. You have to direct your mind toward your energy, your positivity, and things that are going to build you up. Because we all have the same 24 hours in a day. Sometimes it can feel like it's going fast. Sometimes it can feel like it's going slow, or we're more connected as this artificial construct called time moves on. As soon as you say time, most of us think about a clock. I think about the movement and the activities that we can get completed in a day. Because in many African cultures, time depends on the participation. We can say we're going to meet at 10 o'clock in the morning, but then you have some that will show up at 10:30, some that will show up at 11:15, and the event is not starting until everybody shows up. So if somebody shows up at 12:30, well, they're all laughing and talking until that last person shows up. It's a different look on time. Those of us in the West, we ride the clock, and that's how time goes. Now, I'm not saying to ignore time and show up to an appointment late. There's nothing righteous in that in a sense, but I understand how others see it, right? But time to me comes from within. And I believe we can bend time. Now just, roll with me. Now, don't think I'm stupid or crazy. If we can focus on a task so intense, zeroed in, time may feel like it's going fast, but we would have utilized what we call time to the utmost. Have you ever focused on something? Maybe, let's just say, an exam, and you have 2 hours to do it. You're not looking at the clock, but you're focused on the answers and getting everything right. And for some reason, it feels like 35, 45 minutes went by, but it's 5 more minutes before the allotted time for the test to be over is in front of you. You're like, wait a second. I sat here and 2 hours went by, but it feels like maybe not even 45 minutes. It may have felt like 30 minutes. It's your engagement into that. It's your engagement with the task at hand. That's time to me. Because even yesterday when I went down into Accra and I had to get back to take care of certain things and I had to focus. So I was on a mission. I went straight to where I was going, picked up the things that I needed, and got back in time to deal with the people who were on their way here. It felt quick, but it took up most of the day. But I didn't feel it because I was focused. I wasn't looking left or right, which I was looking left or right, but mentally I wasn't easily distracted. The same way You wake up in the morning. I'm not saying you personally, but so many people do it. We open up Facebook on our phone the first thing, and we get caught up in just viewing what other people put out, which there are some nice things, and if you follow some nice things, fine. But why would you pour your consciousness, pour your focus early in the day when you should be making affirmations on how you're going to complete the day and what you're going to complete in it? You're directing your energy outward to this thing that's designed to keep you suspended and focused on it, to waste your time where you're getting nothing done. So this is why with me, no death scrolling. And we do it sometime. I understand that. I'm not going to say don't do it and just treat your phone like an enemy, but the phone is something designed by our enemies now, our corporate enemies. It's designed to have you caught up and soak up the energy of your mind, because your mind is very powerful. I've learned this from my days when I was a competitive bodybuilder. When you focus on training and you tell yourself you're going to do this amount of repetitions with this particular weight, doesn't mean you're going to be foolish and try to lift the whole gym. But there have been so many times when I was so psyched up on a physical level, and I put myself mentally in a desperate situation. What do I mean by that? I was extreme. I told myself, with a weight that I can barely get 8 repetitions with, I would just tell myself, and I tell my training partners, listen, I can't let this weight go until I do 35 repetitions, which is too much normally. But I would get the 8, 9, or 10, and I would hold on to that weight, take my chances, my time, and do another rep. Hold it and do another. I wasn't letting go until I picked it out of the blue, right? Total exhaustion after that, but that's to show you the power of the mind. Now, how did I get that desperate? I said, listen, I said this to myself. I didn't say this to anybody, but I said, if I don't get this done, I'm going to go home and somebody snuff my whole family. Now, I wouldn't suggest you to think something so evil and so desperate, but when you're aggressive and you're training, you got to put yourself in that desperate situation and really believe it and get this. Now, it may not be that for you. It might be something where, next week I'm going to be at the beach in another country, relaxing. That might motivate you, right? When I used to ride my bike home from Brooklyn into Queens, the bus driver I knew, right? So he had a schedule to follow. So I told him, I said, listen, I'm going to beat you all the way down to Jamaica Avenue, Myrtle Avenue, and Lefferts Boulevard, where your first stop is. And it's your job to catch up to me. Now, he had certain time points he couldn't pass. I knew that. And sometimes I'd wait for him. But in my mind, if he surpassed me, it was like something running over me and I would be dead. And I was desperate pedaling that bike because he was trying his best. And I told him, try your best to surpass me. One time he did, and mentally I was out of it. But I always put myself in these desperate situations when I used to train. And that's why I was so intense as a person who never used any anabolic steroids or substances or cocaine to be sniffed up and high and motivated. Didn't even drink coffee at that time. But the mind, energy, the flow, time. Be aware of where your blip is on the radar screen of your day, of your life, and how it fits into the rest of your existence. So you can have days where you disengage and relax. Earlier today, I went on my kitchen balcony and we're all adults. I took everything off. I'm private there, nobody can see me. And I laid out in the sun and just relaxed and let time go on. I didn't know if I was going to be out there for an hour. I don't know if I was going to be out there for 4 or 5 hours. It was okay because physically I'm still recuperating from yesterday when I went down into a crowd, which I was full of energy. I didn't lose focus, but it was very trying to me. And what do I mean by that? Sometimes you find yourself extremely fatigued toward the end of your day, more so than normal. Now, I was wondering, why am I feeling so drained down and like I can't, not that I couldn't move, but after we did the show, Brother Neil Frazier, aka Metamorphosis, the King of Mondays, I moved around a little bit and moved a few things, straightened up. And then I went to lay down on my couch in my studio, right? I don't know why. I just laid down. And so I lay down for a while. I fell asleep after 10 minutes, woke up again, and gave back into the sleep. I woke up 2 hours later, completely relaxed, but still feeling fatigued. And I said to myself, why am I at this level of fatigue? It shouldn't be this bad. So I thought about my day when I went down into a crowd, and I pinpointed it. I troubleshot why my day, or really this incident or experience, drained me down so much. On the commuter van that they call Trotros in Ghana, I'm riding down. I'm sitting on the bench seat, kind of behind the driver. And eventually there was this woman who sat next to me. And it's a tight squeeze. They try to squeeze as many people as they possibly can. I'm used to it. So her leg was pressed up against mine. No problem. This was nothing sexual. And it was a tight fit. So she seemed to be a very pleasant person. She was speaking in her native language to a person in the back of the van. And occasionally she would turn her head, but she was facing forward like me. She gave me a pleasant smile when she came on the van. So it's all good. I'm not even trying to break down the conversation. She used broken English every now and then. Like every fourth or fifth word she spoke in English. She said a word. So I kind of knew what she was talking about. And then she got into the conversation, which the person in the back didn't say much. This woman sitting next to me dominated the conversation. So that being said, she started to get a little more animated. She started to get a little angry. And she got really aggressive and she got really loud. And her whole mood changed. Her whole entire mood changed. And she went off more and more. She got so loud, it got to the point of her almost being violent. She was violent in the way she spoke. The whole entire energy of that van changed. It was her. It wasn't anybody else. Everybody was just so quiet. They weren't even talking on their phones. They weren't even talking amongst each other. She was loud. She was angry. The one who looked so kind when she smiled briefly at me and sat down. The energy that she showed and exposed shows what was inside. See, you can't tell with people what's inside of them by the kind smile, or we can say, oh, that's a nice little old lady. Now, she wasn't older. She was probably a little younger than me, but she was upset. And it wasn't that she was upset about what she was talking about, because I think somebody did her wrong with money, because she kept talking about money, and she had a vengeful spirit. She was going to get revenge on somebody, the way she was talking. And there was somebody in the back that she knew that she was directing this to, not at them, but it was all coming out. So you don't know what's in people. But because I was in a distant way, even though I was sitting next to her, and because she was so close and sitting next to me, because her true spirit came out, it started to drain me. I'm always on point and always guarded, but her intensity, which wasn't directed to me, still drained me. And it taught me a lesson about myself. And it made me think about the people that we cross paths with, no matter how insignificant in our day, how their energy affects us. And I spoke about this one time, but I really experienced this yesterday. And although I only had 4 hours of sleep the night before, which is uncommon for me because I sleep till I wake up and I have no problem getting to bed, but I was up until 2 o'clock in the morning and I woke up at 6. I was so excited about getting the stuff done that I had to get done in the house, yesterday, that I was just like a kid on Christmas Eve, for those who indulge in Christmas. So I jumped up and I was so ready for the day. So I was thrown off that way, and I decided not to eat until I came back. Every now and then, I will fast for the day and maybe have something not late, but later on in the afternoon. So I chose that day to do that. So I set myself up several ways, but that was the main thing as I reviewed my day. That woman's energy burned a hole and drained my energy. It's almost like somebody sticks their finger in an electrical socket and you're touching them and the electricity goes through to you the same way. So when we don't feel at our best or don't have enough energy, we have to go back and, backtrack to see what it was so that we can be astute in making sure that it doesn't happen again. So this is why most of the time I'm full of energy, I'm full of positivity, I get a lot of things done, I juggle a lot. And I love that. I love that challenge of being so efficient with my time until I say to myself, okay, like I did earlier when I went on the back balcony and laid out in the sun. I purposely choose to do that so I have no guilt. So I'm not haunted with pushing all the time. No, there's a time to rest and there's a time to execute. But when I execute, I'm going to make sure to do it at the maximum. And at the end of the day, I have to take inventory and say, okay, did I get this accomplished? Why didn't I? Unless it's something beyond my control, which I don't sweat over things that are beyond my control. I deal with what I can handle, right? We have our area of concern, like I said before, and we have our area of influence. If I can't put my hand on it and influence it to get done what I have to get done, but I'm concerned about something that's beyond my reach, I'm not going to put too much energy into that. I'm concerned, but can I change it? Can I alter it? Can I make it better for me? No. If I can't, I'm not going to sit here and freak out over things that have nothing to do with me or are beyond my control and reach. The things that I have influence over now that I can deal with and change in my reality, I will do. But at the same token, in your day, you have to be careful of the people that can come near you and they can have a smile on their face, but their energy is no good. They have not checked themselves. They will wear the mask of a smile. But what about the turmoil, the confusion, the chaos, their voids, their needs that may be selfish? We all have needs, we all have wants, but sometimes we have people who try to get within close proximity of you because they have needs that are selfish that they don't want to take responsibility for fulfilling. If I'm hungry, I got to cook something. Of course, Mr. Scurv will make it for me, but I got to cook something or go get something to eat because my stomach is connected to my brain. And when I'm hungry, nobody else is feeling it. So it's a level of responsibility. But we have people in the world that they feel so entitled that what you're doing, you have to give it up and make sure they're good, make sure they're topped off, no matter if you get drained or not. So if you can go to bed or retire almost full, a little energy will dissipate from you as you move about the day normally. But a severe drain like I experienced yesterday, I'm not doing it unless I did it within my own conscious awareness. Like I'm in the house and I push a little too much and I'm doing a project and I know I should be signing off by now and the enthusiasm is there, then I'll understand that, well, you might wake up an extra hour or two later, but it's because of something that I did for myself. You can't spread yourself around like that. And I find that people who are people pleasers, they're the ones who suffer the most and then begin to get resentful after. You have to know when to say no or when to pull out of a situation because you can't save the world. You have to make sure that when you go about your day, your responsibility is to keep your tank full, your energy tank, mentally, spiritually, and physically, so you look forward to dealing with the concerns and challenges of your day, right? You don't walk outside of your home with a cell phone, a smartphone that has no charge on it. You don't want to walk outside of your home with a cell phone that has only a 5% charge on it. No, you want it full. And you want to maintain it being full as much as you can throughout the day. So if you come home and it's 93% out of the 100, that's okay. But if it's 13% or 5%, there's something wrong. Me, that's one of my hangups, keeping my batteries charged. My actual physical batteries to the different gadgets that I have, if it's not at 100, I don't feel right? I got to be able to grab it and it's 100%. Anywhere I go, of course, my cell phone is going to be topped off at 100% because I keep it on the charger. But I have a battery that I carry with me. So as it goes down, if I was in an emergency where I couldn't get to electricity or I had to stay stuck out there, if there's a traffic jam or something and it's getting low, I can always recharge it up within reason, right? That's the way I do myself. So I check my levels when I wake up in the morning time. I'll lay there and figure out my plan of attack for the day on a full tank because I knew to cultivate it. Now, right now, I feel good. I feel the slight level of fatigue because of the time that it is, but that's normal. That doesn't alarm me. And I was fairly isolated today. I had somebody come by twice, briefly, but they don't drain me, right? So I'm good. And that's what it's all about, because if you don't have your energy up, you're not going to be able to heal properly. To heal on any level, you do need your energy, right? When you have mental issues, I don't mean mental health issues to the extreme, but even that also, you need energy. This is why when people, and especially those who are affluent and can afford it, because everybody can't afford to go away to a particular, I call them mental health spas, right? Where they go away for a while. And people, sometimes when they have drug addictions or different things, they'll go to a place like this, right? Where there's tranquility and nature and a lake, peace and quiet, good, healthy food. You can rest. You're building up your energy. You're getting back in tune with nature. So you can do that. But many people can't do that when they have to work. They have to pay certain bills. They don't make that much more than what they have to pay out. So they can't afford that, right? They can't even afford a vacation possibly. Lots of people I know, on their vacation time, they'll take a part-time job or another job. Or if they have two jobs, they can work more than that. They never get a chance to rest. They never get a chance to build their energy up. So when something happens, of maybe they lost a loved one or they got sick, they need energy to heal up because they're run down. I just want people to be more aware of the energy thing and how to store it up. Heal yourself. Well, it takes energy. It takes time. So now if you can't afford to go to one of these fancy spas, you got to be able to do it on your own time. And if your time is limited, you have to be very efficient in how you live, which when I lived in America, I was very efficient with my time. Even though I did a lot of podcasts, a lot of shows, I still lived in balance. And I made it look easy. Now that I'm retired and I'm up here in the mountains and things are really, really good, I still move that way. I have to be topped off. So yesterday was real strange for me to be drained. So I keep my mind where it should be. Again, even if you may be physically away from people who drain you, if you're thinking about them, it's the same thing because your mind is going there. Most of us don't understand how important and how powerful our mind is. It can be destructive against us, right? If we're focused on something that's not good and it drains us, so we can be self-destructive in how we live and how we think, but it affects all of our planes of life, the mental, the physical, and the spiritual. And so that's what I keep within myself. And I know I'm getting older. I can see that I'm getting older, but the rate that I'm aging may not be as fast as somebody who doesn't know how to handle their energy. Because we have people who eat good, who sleep good, and within, whether you know it or not, they damn evil. They're plotting and planning and peeking on you to see how they can outdo you, how they can bring you down, how they can slander you. Well, they're eating themselves up. I happen to know people who They take care of themselves really good, but they look old. They're younger than me and they look older than me. And I'm not in the competition, but I'm like, wait a second. How'd you look young at one point and now you look so old? You're doing it to yourself. And yes, even when you do right by yourself, the human body is made to expire. You will age, but you can see the evil on them. You can feel it on them, and you don't need to be around that energy. No, let them keep that venom to themselves, and I'll keep my mind from thinking about them. You see what I mean? Especially when it's somebody connected to you in some kind of way. You gotta be careful on that. Even conversations about them. You may have in-laws or neighbors, or don't even, they can't exist. There's nothing good about them. They can't exist. And that protects you from the venom that they have for you, that their mind, by thinking about you, you feel. No, take your mind off of it. Take your mind off of it. Let me tell a little joke. I was once over someone's house, a beautiful young lady, and we started to do calisthenics together. Now, you know it wasn't calisthenics. I just said it that way, just in case you have someone underage who's close by. And we happened to be in the living room on the rug, right? So, people who are missionaries, the word missionary is not always for somebody who's going out to preach God's word, okay? So missionary in the living room, if you get what I mean. My mind was focused on the pleasure received so much that I didn't realize that my knees were almost bloody because of the rug burns, the knee burns, because my mind was focused on getting to a certain point with another part of my physical presence. I always say something adult, but I know you can relate to it. And I didn't know that I had rubbed the skin off of my knees. Pretty much. What is it? Why did I bring that up? Well, my mind wasn't on the state, the physical state of what was happening with my knees, right? It was on something else. So that tells me that when your mind is focused on what you have to do for what you have to do, then you keep those other thoughts out and they won't damage you. Now, that was a physical contact thing, knees, right? But also, we've heard the story of the woman, and it happened several times, that she was at the automobile shop, car getting a tune-up, and her child wandered right under the vehicle, and it fell. The tire didn't crush him, but he fell under the vehicle, and he was pinned. And that frail woman, who might have been like 120 pounds, went over there and lifted the vehicle up. She wasn't thinking about the physical. Her mind was on lifting that vehicle up off of her child. The same way I got 35 repetitions out of a weight on a hack squat machine that I could only get 8 to 10. See, the mind is very powerful. Your energy has to be topped off. You have to be guarded with your energy. Unnecessary, foolish conversations can weigh you down also. Unnecessary arguments that you know are going nowhere. You have to make sure to cut certain disputes off. You have people that come around you, usually within your circle, unfortunately, who will bring up something that seems innocent, but they want to tick you off. They want to get you pissed. So now you're going back at them with some aggression. They're getting back at you with it, and they're enjoying it because the frustrations that they have on the inside, they can work it off against you. See, when people have venom for someone, or they just have venom and chaos inside of them, arguments feel good to them because it's like releasing yourself when you go to the bathroom. It's non-directional. It's not really about you, and maybe it could be about you, but they want to release it. The biggest revenge you can do on them is not even deal with them that way. If you can cut them off completely, that's the best thing. Because you know how they feel, you know how they think. They might have shown the hand that they have. Like when you play cards and you have a certain hand that was given to you out of the deck. Well, now they played themselves. They exposed themselves. So the biggest thing you can do is not combat, is to ignore and not even think about them. But the world teaches you, you have to have the final word. You have to go and argue with them back and forth. No, that doesn't work. Because now you're immersed in this chaos that they have contained within themselves. And you did them a favor by giving them an outlet to release it from themselves. I know that. There's certain people who, I'm going to tell you how deep this goes. There are people I've known that may have been on a job, right? There's 2 or 3 like that. And when they first met me, they saw what I was doing online and they emulated that in their own way, right? Even the wording on their website was similar, right? I would change up a little bit, they would change up a little bit. And they were a shapeshifter. And I always knew from their energy, they would greet me nice, they would smile, they would always have a fine word, but I knew they couldn't stand my guts. Seriously couldn't stand my guts. Now, they're still trying to reach out to me. They can't figure out that I don't want to be bothered with them. And they want to come all the way out here to Africa to visit. Like, really? All so you can kind of compare your progress in life with mine. That's all it is. That's all it is. And there's something about these types of people that attach themselves to your life because they want to see either A, your downfall, or B, that they have surpassed you on whatever scale they have in their mind. Whatever they rate to be important, that has nothing to do with you, but they fixate on you because you're cruising. Oh yes, you're aggressive to get what you need to get on your own time and speed, but you're enjoying your life. You're in your energy. You're doing what it is that you're supposed to do. You're not doing it to race against somebody or to compare. And this is why social media is so terrible on that level. The way of comparing now, you got to understand that there are people, if you're on social media or Facebook or whatever, and you show parts of your life, there will be people who see you and just on sight, they fixate on you and they compare themselves to you. And whatever parts of your life that you expose, if you're in your driveway and they can see your car in the background and it's a luxury car, oh, now they want to get a luxury car. They're not happy until they get a luxury car. They want to get a better car than you. If you're getting in shape, they'll despise you if they're not in that kind of shape. They might not even be motivated to get in shape. But they see you and now you become the standard of their hate. But it's really themselves they hate because you're not doing this to show off. You're not doing this. You're doing this, they may see something that you're doing, but you're within yourself. You're in your lane, your own trajectory, your own lane. Yet and still, strangers. And that's a different type of energy. So even me now, I don't really go all out to show things as much as I did in my personal life. I don't need to. And I didn't need to back then, but even back then when I first started this whole internet journey, the cyberspace journey, I wasn't aware of how people can project or throw energy at you or have venom for you. I'll put it this way. And those who have been around for years on this platform, even when I had the other channel, this is a continuation of that, the same stuff that I do. And luckily, I've salvaged a lot of the old shows anyway on this channel. But there was a young lady who people fancied. She had her own shows on this platform. And I helped her out. I do the banner. We promoted her. And I let her talk. And sometimes I had ways of recording that she can just, because she was good that way, she can talk for an hour, 2 hours. So I would say, okay, boom, we hit the recorder, I mute myself and let her roll. I'd take the file, attach it to a banner, put an intro and an outro, and upload it so everybody can listen to it. And this went on for a good while. I have no problem with that, because if you like something of someone, I'm not that egotistical where I have to be the one that is always being listened to or whatever. If it's good for the people, I'm good. And again, I want to say, if you don't see a person on this platform, it's because they show their ass, okay, and they're a fraud. So stop asking me about certain people, and I'm not going to go expose things, but I have a lot of the people that came, they really had some venom in them. Now, I will say, Mr. Political doesn't have WhatsApp. He doesn't have, my app is not working to take the international calls directly. That's why you haven't seen him. But anybody else, stories behind that. Had to clean house. So I'm good and free, and I don't have those influences no more around me. But this particular person, they couldn't afford what they said, the website, right? And the hosting space, you have to pay for that. So I had unlimited hosting for my prior website, which had the same address of LanceScurvX.com, which LanceScurvX.com goes to my new platform, which for me, hosting is free. Better deal all the way around. So many ways, it checks all the boxes. So at that time, I said, listen, I'll give you the codes. You let your online guy go in, because I have so much server space. It's like all I needed was one city block out of New York City, and the whole rest of the city was empty. So you can put as much content with your domain name up as you want and attach it to that. I'm generous that way. So it went on for several short months. And one day I tried to go on to my website and I couldn't get on. It was gone. Within the hour, she called me up. Oh my God, Lance. Oh my God, Lance. I don't know what happened, but everything is gone. I don't know what I did. Now, immediately I knew. Immediately. If I thought she was a bad person, I wouldn't have done that, because it left me vulnerable for her to try to eliminate my site. That was when they got past my defenses. So immediately I knew she was lying. Why? Because on my hosting plan, you had to go through 6 steps to delete everything. And it would ask you, are you sure? Are you sure? Do you want to do this? Not in that language, but that's pretty much what it was. So I knew she was lying. That's like a kid saying, oh my God, to the neighbor, my ball, I threw it the wrong way and it landed through your window. But then all of your windows are broken, top, bottom, sides, front and back. No, somebody broke all your windows. That's not going to fly. And you know that with common sense. So luckily, I had it backed up. She didn't realize that. Then she began to get connected to other people who had the same feelings toward me, right? And then she knew she was busted. And then she was accusing me of taking the money that her videos made, which was added up to $25 altogether. But I had loaned her more money than that. So what are you talking about, right? So we stopped talking, and the sabotage continued away from me verbally. Now she's not with us anymore. Now, I'm not saying that she did it to me, but be careful. Be careful of what you do and how you use people. Like I said before, people, they have these needs to achieve, which is fine, but not at the expense of someone else in a devious way. And then when you seek to achieve, to do something similar to what they're doing, you're mad because you want them destroyed. That's evil. And evil begets evil, even if it doesn't happen right away, because that evil energy attracts other things in your life. Then you'll have to go through things because of that. You'll ride high for a little while and think you got away with that, but it comes back. And you as the person who, just like the older episode that I uploaded the other day, it's better to be wronged by someone, because the universe has blessings for you in whatever form, and it may not come right away, because it's an energy thing, and energy must be maintained and balanced. It's just like what's happening in the world with so much evil, so much hate. They're playing with the weather. We have men who want to be elite and be a god beside God. And this is why, aside from the weather manipulation, the weather's biting back. You play with it, it's going to get you. Like I said, in nature, when you don't have good energy, you won't vibrate with all things that are in nature. They will know. They won't mess with you. If you're in tune, they'll be like those two snails by my back door. Exactly in the same position, away from the left, on the right, and a distance from the house. I measured it. What does that mean? It's some kind of connection, and I take it as a good thing. It's a good vibration. Just like when I see the snails slowly moving around out there, and I see them in the dark, I don't step on them. I stepped on one by mistake the other day, and I apologized to all of them, right? In my heart. And I did speak it out in passing, but it understands. It understands. So watch your energy, protect your energy, and make sure that you're in line with nature, which keeps you in line with the Creator. That's a very, very important thing to do, but you must be self-aware and know when to back up to preserve yourself. Know when to say no. Know when to disconnect. You can't be on the phone all day, every day, opening up your mind to random things that will suspend your movement forward to elevate yourself personally. You can't do it. Can't do it. I check on things. I run this platform. I'm going to go and get into the whole turbo boost of doing everything I know because I've just been keeping the ball rolling. There's so much more I can do and I want to get into it, and it's almost time for that. And when I do, I'm going all in. But there's certain things at certain time you just don't need to check and look and be on there all day long like that. I create and I put out and I leave it alone. There's certain days that I go out, I'll go all the way down into the town and I leave my phone home. I leave my phone home. I have a local phone that if those in my circle need to reach out to me, they can call that if it's something like an emergency. And from America, that might be of a long distance call. Fine. You know, just let me know what's going on. And when I get home, I'll get back to you. So I protect that also, because the internet can be a bad thing for our energy and our mind, unless you're researching something. But that is something I wanted to share. And again, it was kind of a rant. I was all over the place, but I hope you got something out of it. And I got a few things to do here in the studio. I'm rearranging some things. I want to start using my green screen over there. I had some electrical work done on that side that will, you know, give me more options down here to record different ways and do lives different ways. And I'm happy. I'm happy that way. And this gives me a purpose. I have other purposes in my life, but this gives me a hobby purpose. There's no sense of urgency where I'm trying to be this big star or whatever. It's just that we're rolling along and we're enjoying ourselves, and I enjoy the comments. And I promise to make more comments back, because some people say, oh, I make a comment all the time and you ignore me. I'm not ignoring anybody. I'll look at it and intend to respond and something pops up. But now we're on cruise control and we're enjoying ourselves, and it's all good. There's no crime to say when things are good. And thank God, thank the universe, thank nature around you when you're in tune. Because sometimes our life can be so out of whack from being unaware of the energies that are taken away from us that it takes a little while to get ourselves back in line. It's like if something jumps out in front of you in the road and you have to turn that wheel so much. Well, guess what? Once the danger is over and you avoided that thing, it could be a ball and a kid running after the ball. It could be a dog or a cat, whatever it may be. You got to correct it now and turn the wheel back so you're not on the other side of the oncoming traffic to get into a head-on collision. You got to do that. And that happens in your own personal life. So I look forward to my slumber tonight. I look forward to the wonderful dreams that I'm going to have as I travel, whichever way you want to call that. But when you're sleeping, you're traveling, right? And to wake up to a beautiful morning, although my phone may be next to me, I'm not touching it. I'm going to be in my thoughts, make my projections, and the universe and your day will move smoothly if you project and ask of it what you need and stay focused. That's something that people just don't do. And when you have venom in your heart for anyone, it clouds that connection. But when you have yourself cleansed and cleaned up, and it's not like you say, well, today I'm going to just meditate and clean up. No, it takes time. It depends on how saturated your heart is with negativity. In a minute, many people see you start to elevate, they will start dropping little negative things. They want conversations that bring negativity. They'll tell you, oh, I hate them. It'll be a celebrity. I hate them. I don't like them. No, don't let them be the Pied Piper to lead you into that state of mind. That's a person, they're developing. What about you? Why do you hate them? I found out, through other people, there's a person that, me hate him, me can't stand him, me hate him. Damn, I got that much power over you? Thanks for the boost. Because I can take negative energy and turn it around into something positive. Because there's no way I can produce as much as I produce in the minuscule part of my life, of my hobby, of what I do online. This is a very small part of my life. I don't sit up here all day long looking at stuff. I have enough stories of my own to share, things to talk about. You know what I mean? So it's a whole different ballgame with me. And if I got degraded to that point, oh my God, I'm choking off my own life. The sunrise and sunset don't look as beautiful to me if I was so caught up in hating somebody, right? I understand America. I understand racism. I understand all of that. But I'm going to have a righteous dislike for certain things, but I'm not going to let it make me hate, because now it beat me. I'm not going to embrace it and say I don't dislike it intensely, but I don't want to be around that energy. Even the whole point of all day long, getting upset at something, make your adjustments so it doesn't upset you and doesn't touch you as much. But yes, you will fight those things and try to educate and influence others on how to modify their thinking so we know it's there, but we can go around it and still be effective in destroying the effects of it. You can't stop the way that certain people think. You can't. But the bottom line is that you can change your thinking. You're not going to put your guard down and say, oh, this is not going to bother me. They're out there, right? But you can't let it have the victory to take and rob your life force to the point where that's dominating your mind. And in my cleansing, I was blessed that shortly after coming out here, certain people canceled themselves out of my life, and I'm all the better for it. So things could look negative at first, but I thank those situations because I'm floating. I may be chronologically 60, I said 50, right? 63 years old, but I feel so light. I don't even think about that no more. I'm not trying to hide anything. How old are you? Oh, I'm 48. No, I'm 63. 10 years from now, I'll be 73. 20 years from now, I'll be 83. So what? I feel good. You know how it is when you tune up a vehicle. You bring it in to get tuned up. The car feels normal, but you know it's time for a tune-up. But guess what? When they tune it up and rotate the tires and change the oil and the transmission fluid and tighten up certain parts, it feels like a brand new vehicle. But you got used to it getting degraded over time, dropping in potholes and all of this, that you got used to that. That became normalcy for you. So if venom and anger toward people and envy toward people, and you're dominating your mind with gossip, you don't realize how degraded you are. So if you have the tune-up of healing and cleansing truly, guess what? You're going to feel like a brand new person. But many talk that talk, but they don't feel it because they really didn't get the tune-up. Because when you tune up that vehicle, man, that thing feels so good. You're like, man, this car feels so tight. The tires are inflated, rotated. Everything's cleaned and detailed. Man, that feels so good. The same goes for us as human beings. And I'm speaking to the HUE-MAN, the humans, which include women who are womb-mans, who have the womb. And we can talk about that, but that might be a different topic. The thoughts that our sisters have as they're pregnant, before they're pregnant, after they're pregnant, and they brought life into the world. They may be bringing a scholar, a spiritual person, more so, or they might be bringing a daggone criminal into the world. Look, we're supposed to come into this world with clean slates, but if all you're doing is talking something hateful and watching these filthy TV shows, and you got that child in your womb growing, there are a lot of women who think it has no effect. What about the women who read books to their child, sing songs to their child while it's in the stomach from conception? What if you did this for yourself before you even conceived the child? But you have to also make sure that the person you have the child with has a certain spirit, a certain essence. But many don't think that far because, oh, he looks so good. Oh, he told me he loved me. Or he has a lot of money and I want to be taken care of. And it's just a money thing, but he doesn't know it. You're setting your children up to be a certain way, right? If there's a meal cooking and I dump a whole container of salt in it before the meal is done, it's still going to be salty, right? You don't wait until season it until everything is done and completed and it's on the table, right? We got to be very careful on that level. So now you're mixing up with these different men. I don't even mean to go there. I'm just kind of rambling right now because I'm going to end this soon. Wrap it down. I don't want to bore you too much. I'm just feeling good right now, right? I'm righteously, spiritually intoxicated with life. That's how I feel. But the environment that you put your child in before they're born, before they're conceived, how are you as a person? What trauma do you have? Because, you know, we pass trauma down into our children by what we've experienced and didn't heal from it. Many times I've heard this, and I truly believe this, that the trauma that you don't deal with in your life is going to be something that your children have to deal with in their life. It's going to be passed down. And it may not be the same exact thing, but it's something that has not been dealt with. And we think that we have to live with this for the rest of our life. No, you can get counseling, spiritual healing, healing from within. Do you have to go now and go to a store or go to a bookstore or go online? But let's just say the old-fashioned way. You go into a bookstore, you go into Barnes & Nobles. For those who don't know, that's a famous chain, bookstore chain in America, although a lot of it is going online now. But you don't go into the bookstore and say, excuse me, can you share with me a book or point me in the direction where I can get a book on how to heal a cut? Do you know how to heal a cut? None of us know how to heal a cut on your body, right? No, you know how to make the conditions so that the cut can heal in a healthy way where you don't get infected. You know to clean it out. You don't know what got inside that cut before the flesh closes up. Your bloodstream has been exposed. You clean it out, you cover it, and you let it do its thing. You don't bruise it, you don't bump into it. You maintain its safety. And every now and then you take the bandage off and lightly clean around it and put it back. The same thing with growing plants. Do you know how to grow a plant? No, you don't. You know how to put it in the soil at its desired depth where it can get ample sunlight, or put it somewhere where it can get partial sunlight, because all plants don't like full sun. You keep it watered, you don't overwater it, and you look at the signs of the leaves to see if it's diseased or it's fighting something. I'm fascinated with that. Mr. Scurv knows a lot about that just from the hip, but I'm going to get one of those apps, and I haven't yet because I'm deciding which one. Which you take a picture of the leaf and it tells you what kind of plant it is, when you plant it, and what region you live in, how deep, how often you water it, and what you can do to heal it if it looks like it's not doing so well. That fascinates me. But I don't know, even if I knew the knowledge, nature takes over in its own mysterious way. Do you know how to make children? No. You know that when sperm hits egg, nature takes its course, right? So we have to know how to ride those waves and do what we can do to have a child come out. Not perfect, we're not looking to stress a child, but giving it the best shot at life by not enhancing it. No, it's already enhanced, but you have to make sure the conditions are there for them to come out right, or they'll have issues to deal with. And sometimes the issues may make them appear to be great in the world, because it may not be because a traumatized child who inherited your trauma, or you inflicted trauma on them at young, they'll get older and may look successful because they're fighting the trauma. Look at Michael Jackson. What if Michael Jackson didn't have the childhood trauma that he had, where he didn't have a childhood? His father can get credit for driving them as a group musically to do good, but then there was also trauma. Which one was it? Combination of both? Was it one or the other? And it made him push fighting against that trauma because he had the world of music and his gifts that may not have come out if he didn't have the trauma. I'm not saying trauma is a good thing. I know people who grew up dirt poor and they were fighting against growing up dirt poor because they would compare themselves. Like, I know a family from Jamaica, and many of them have succeeded when they went to America, but at what cost? Because they're still fighting against the memory of poverty, right? So they'll bring up name brand things and they'll talk about certain things they've done like it's something big. Well, you know, I bought this name brand this, and I went to Japan, and I went here and I went there. So you better not break the conversation when they start telling you things, because they'll get. I was in a situation where a person got insulted. He didn't say anything, but he got insulted. We got along for the brief time that we met, and then after that, he didn't like me. I was listening to him, but he's watching me to see if I'm good. Oh my God, really? Wow. I was nodding my head. Oh, that's very nice. That was just, some people want to see you get jealous too. When they start talking about things they've done, it's not so much that they're just sharing this with you in a nice way. Some are, but many people are trying to get a rise out of you when they view you a certain way, because maybe they sense that you didn't have these insecurities growing up. And I've learned that also. It's a lot of things, a lot of insecurities I didn't have. My folks weren't millionaires. We weren't poor either. I got a lot of things that I wanted. Got everything I needed. Couldn't always get everything that I wanted, but the rich experiences and the time spent on me left me with not that many voids like many other people. So when I've met people who may have achieved a little more in the world on the scale of what most people say, I'm truly happy for them. But that wasn't my thing, because I didn't have to cover up or fight against some kind of trauma that went into my adulthood the same way. You see how that works? So those people may come around you smiling, but they're not happy. And they want to see you in the same place. Even though if they may not admit it, but they want to see you in that same place. I remember there was a woman, she had a son who was my age, and I knew him from school. And when I look back, see, I'm not going to say I never liked the woman. I respected her, and she would come around a lot. And she always had something in her heart. She would smile. Maybe she was hurting, or maybe she was hurt, but I think she just got evil, like envious. And she would always say little things that I would pick up on, even at younger ages, really young, that I was like, something's not right with her. See, I believe her relationship with her child's father, I believe they were married and divorced, but that scarred her. And when she would come around and speak to my mother, it was always something about what she went through in her marriage. And when she'd see my father, and see my father kiss my mother on the cheek, and he would greet her also, her whole spirit dropped even more. She'd get real dark. I'm not talking about her skin tone because she was darkly complected, but her spirit just changed a little bit. When you're outside in the summertime, but it gets so late in the summer, you could sense fall coming because something in the air changes at a specific time. And depending on where you live, like especially for me in America, late August, early September, you're like, fall is here. This is some different air here. So with me being around that, I would see how the energy would change. And one time, my mother had said something to my father, and they were discussing something, no venom, no anger, but they disagreed on it in a very light way. And that woman, can't say her name, she tried to make it seem like it was an antagonistic type thing. My parents decided to discuss this matter later on. It was something that they had to do with the house. And my mother felt that it should be done this way. My father felt it should be done a different way. And that was it. It's like, okay, we'll figure it out later on. That's how they settled things. They talked things out. They weren't screaming and cussing and damning. That's why me seeing this, I'm methodical. Like if there's an issue or a challenge, let's talk about it. Let's reason. Let's see what it is and take the best possible solution for that situation. It's nothing personal. If the best possible solution is what you suggest, then I'm going to roll with that because it's about the situation. It's not about, every time it has to be your way when it's going to be my way. It's not a my way, your way thing. It's the best way. I don't care if I have to give in to my point of view 100 times. If it's the best way, it's the best way. And that's how I operate. Mrs. Scurv will tell you, I'm very methodical that way. But that woman's energy, she was trying to stir something up. And my mother knew it too, because she kept kind of pushing back on her. Not argumentative, but she kind of like avoided what she was saying and turned the subject around to something positive. And that lady was getting frustrated because she just wanted to see my parents arguing. Be careful. You just don't know behind that smile what energy is there. And that lady kept coming around until I guess one day she just stopped coming around. And my mother noticed that. So my mother said, okay, I didn't do anything to her, but she didn't get the result that she wanted. And she fixated on coming around. And it was almost like she was waiting to see my father coming from work or whatever. And she just didn't like that energy. She didn't like the unity. She didn't like the order in my parents' marriage. So that was her thing. And I knew this from young. I didn't spot it right away, but I picked up on the pattern. People will show you the patterns. And even behind how they hide it, you'll see right through it. Especially again, when you're in tune with nature, you're in tune with the Creator, and you're relaxed and you're in harmony from within. So with me being around nature as much as I am, away from entities that have bad energy and venom inside of them, and I don't think about them. Of course, if I see them in the street, I'll see them here and there, but nothing goes on further than that. I won't fixate on that. See, like I said, the bad thing is people can still fixate on you on social media and watch you and stare daggers at you. Some will even take your pictures and try to do all kind of rituals and stuff and sit back and wait for your downfall. And it never happens because your mind is right? The skimming rock in the lake. The more you have the forward push, you take the rock and you throw it against the surface of the lake and it doesn't fall into the water because it has momentum, it has movement. Those of us who ride bikes, especially when you're a kid and you don't have to hold on to the handlebars anymore, you can just ride because your forward movement keeps that wheel straight. It's hard to go real slow and it starts wobbling. But as long as you have a push, a drive for what you have positively in your life, nothing can touch you. The last analogy that I'll use is the guys, the 40 or 50 white guys on very expensive bikes. These bikes were like $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, even more. And they were riding the bike through a notorious hood in Orlando, Florida. And there were guys out there who I knew had guns. So what are you doing out there, Scurv? I was on a layover with my bus when I used to drive the bus in Orlando, Florida, right? They didn't bother me. They knew me. They knew me from when I worked in the jail. They knew I was cool. You know, they come shake my hand or whatever. I see the gun on their hip, under their clothes. You know, it wasn't for me. And not that they would have done anything, but most guys who ride bikes expensive like that, at 1 o'clock in the morning, for whatever reason, they're not going by themselves in the hood. Now, a bunch of them might take a chance, right? But, you know, whatever you have on your firearm, if you want to do something bad, you're not going to get everybody. But they were moving so fast, like the skimming rock on the lake, that by the time the so-called guys that were into all types of stuff could even think to do something, which I didn't think they were thinking, but they were shocked. Oh man, look at all them white boys on them bikes. Man, them bikes are expensive. I wish I had one. They didn't have time to go beyond that with another thought. You see what I mean? They didn't have any time to start to think of something mischievous. If I go over there with my car and run one over, you know, they didn't have time, because the men on the bike, they know they wouldn't be caught in that neighborhood with something expensive by themselves. Somebody might surface and say, hey, I'm going to try to get that. I can sell that over and get a few $1,000s. They were gone. So your momentum moving forward in whatever it is that you're focused on and whatever it is that you do will take care of this thing called time, because you won't have time to focus on anything else. Okay, I've been talking for a good little while right now. I didn't have time to think of anything negative. I keep myself busy, right? No matter what it may be. And when it's time to disengage, I disengage. I'm not going to open my mind to this phone, to this computer, and all the things that are put there in your timeline by the algorithms to keep you distracted. Because again, Facebook, YouTube, whatever else it may be, Instagram, TikTok, it's their job to keep you hooked and staying on those platforms so they can show you more ads that you might be interested in to purchase something. Because those who advertise on their platforms are paying them to get revenue out of your attention on those platforms. It's not because they're nice. It's free, but at what cost? You've taken away from yourself your day, your focus. You start out with one. Oh, I'm just going to look at one. Hour and a half later, you're still looking at it. Just the same way that you might be looking at or listening to what I'm saying. You might scroll through and listen to a little bit. I have no problem with that, because this is what I do. A lot of my friends listen to this stuff. A lot of the people in my inner circle, these are the kind of conversations I have. So I'm not doing anything out of the ordinary to get clicks. I would have this conversation anyway. That's how I roll, right? So anyway, I just want to say how much I appreciate you being here. I hope you got something out of this rant. I'm looking to do more, and I was actually going to get myself in front of the camera, but I did a sound check the way I did it, and I didn't like it. So also, my other microphones need to be charged up. I like the sound that comes out of it when I do. So I'll do something tomorrow like that. And it's just a wonderful experience. And thank you for rolling with me. If not, fine. If you are, fine. I'm going to do this anyway. But just remember, watch your energy levels. Watch the people around you. Just them being around you can drain you, even if they're smiling in your face. Smiling in your face all the time. They want to take your place on social media. If we had songs like that from back in the day, they would be singing about social media in there, right? Because it's changed the way we see our life, and it's changed the way we've seen the world. There are good sides to it, but there are bad sides to it. The very knife that cuts up the vegetables or the salads and the tomatoes and the lettuce and the cucumbers that make that very nice salad is the same knife. If somebody takes it, they can stab you or you can fall on it or cut yourself doing something good with the salad. So be careful. It's a double-edged sword. It all depends on how your mind receives it. On that note, thank you for being here. Go to LanceScurvX.com. It's right there on the banner. And join up in the mailing list so we can have a direct relationship and not be shadow banned in any kind of way by the foolishness that they put out to get in front of us being together. And I'm open for all suggestions. Anything you want me to talk about, I'll freestyle on it. And I challenge you, any subject on human nature that you want me to speak on, if you want to, let me know. I'll go all in, and I ain't holding back, right? Much love to you all. LanceScurvX out. On to the next one, and as always, peace.